he gets elevated. We're on the 6th and last chapter of Pirkei Avos. Did we do this? I don't think we did this. All right. Good. Okay, we'll do it. Let's go. I just simply don't remember if we did or not. I don't think we did. Okay, says Rabbi Yeshua. Here we have our Mishnah. There we go. Omer Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, said Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, he was an Amora, but it said he had the same level of holiness as Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. That's what it says. It says that in his generation there was also no rainbow. Huh? No rainbow in his generation. Anyway, he was he used to be able to see Eliyahu Navi anytime he wanted to. There's all these stories about Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, amazing stories. With him and Eliyahu Navi. So, in any case, every day a voice comes out of Mount Sinai, Mount Chorev, and it announces, says, "Woe to the creations because they're disgracing the Torah." Anyone who doesn't learn the Torah is called a reject, nazuf. Like it says, "Nezem zav ba'af chazir, ishi yafa soras tam." So it's like a golden ring in the af of a pig. A beautiful woman without any, how do you say, content. And it also says the tablets were the work of God. They were the work of God. And the writing was also the writing of God. Like it says, they were carved out on the luchos. Don't say carved out, but say free. Charut means to carve out, and cherut means to be free. There's no such thing as a free person except anyone who learns Torah. And anyone who learns Torah, he gets elevated. Okay, this is vaguely, but I don't think we did it. Huh? I don't think we did it yesterday. It is very interesting. Let's look and see. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Let's go over here. Let's go up here. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi was one of the greatest of the Amoraim in Eretz Israel, and the first generation of Amoraim. He learned Torah from Bar Kapara. The Bar Kapara was a pupil of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, right? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was the last of the Tanaim. But the special rabbi, the most, how do you say, constant rabbi of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi was Rabbi Yehuda ben Padilla. Rabbi Yehuda ben Padilla. Rabbi Yehuda ben Padilla, he had two teachers, Rabbi Bar Kapara, and Yehuda ben Padilla. Yehuda ben Padilla, he was the, what is it called? The nephew, the son of the daughter of Bar Kapara. Is that right? The son, one minute. He was the son of the daughter of Bar Kapara. So it was his grandson. What do you mean? It was his grandson. Oh, so Rabbi Yehuda ben Padilla, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. The son of the sister, so I said it, the nephew. He was the nephew of Bar Kapara. Anyway, these two people, Bar Kapara and Rabbi Yehuda ben Padilla, they taught Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Where did he live? He lived in Lod. He taught over their Torah, and the end of his life, he lived in Tiberia. Pinchas ben Yair. He's buried right down, below the burial place of all these tzaddikim in is that right? In Tzfat, I think. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, yeah. It's right down. There's a circle that he's buried. he learned a lot of, he helped the community a lot, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. One second. I'm sorry, I'm just, I'm just getting confused over here. This is Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, not Pinchas ben Yair. I don't know how I got Pinchas ben Yair in this. Yeshua Yehuda ben Padilla was one of the teachers of Yoshua ben Levi. That's what we're talking about, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi helped the community until he himself became very, very poor. And because of that, it says he forgot his learning. He was so great that he said that Rabbi Yeshua, that Eliyahu used to reveal himself to him. And he also, it says even Elijah the prophet brought him into Gan Eden. Where did I say this? Why did I say that? I don't know what happened. I feel like Joe Biden or something. I guess I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm really sorry. Where did it say here that he forgot all his learning? It doesn't say that anywhere. Okay. Anyway, you ever hear the story about Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi and how he jumped into Gan Eden, took away the sword from the angel of death? An incredible story. I'll tell it to you. Let me just finish this. My mind must be wandering or something. You have to forgive me. He used to teach Torah, and it was so important in his eyes to teach Torah that he taught even people that were sick and they had all sorts of diseases. He taught Torah to everyone. And in fact, all these diseased people used to be around him all the time. And he would say, Torah Megina Alomdeh, that the Torah protects those people who learn it. The Torah protects those who learn it. I'm not afraid. And in fact, even more, a person was sick, the Torah makes them healthy. Like it says, if your head hurts, sit and learn Torah, and Hashem will help you. If your whole body hurts, work in the Torah, and the Torah will help you. I don't know why I said those things. Anyway, the story about Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, you ever hear the story about him jumping into heaven? You ever hear the story? Quite an amazing story. So I'll tell you too. I'll try to be short. The angel of death came to Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi and told him that his time had come, that he's going to die. So he said that he refused to go. He refused to go. He sat and he learned Torah all the time, and he refused to go. So finally, the angel of death pleaded with him, and he said, okay, listen, I'll tell you what, I'm willing to go, but I want you to show me where my place is going to be in the world to come. So the angel of death said, okay, let's go. He said, no. I don't trust you. I want you to give me your sword or your sickle or whatever it is, his knife. Give me your knife, because I'm afraid you're going to kill me on the way. I guess when they're walking, it's hard for him to learn Torah or whatever. So he said, okay. So he gave him his knife, and he took him to Gan Eden. From this story, it seems to be that Gan Eden is a place in the world. And he lifted him up on this wall that's around Gan Eden. Yeshua ben Levi stood on the shoulders of the devil, the angel of death. He stood on the shoulders of the angel of death. That's what it says in the Gemara. Stood on the shoulders of the angel of death, and he looked in and jumped over with the sword. So the angel of death grabbed a hold of his shirt tails, or his coat tails, and said, give me my sword back. So he said, I'm making an oath that I'm not going to jump back. I'm not going to give you your sword back. He killed enough people, that's it. That's it. And so they're fighting and yelling and screaming. So finally they bring God into the whole picture. And God says, wow, he took an oath, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. He took an oath. And he said, listen, God said, I'll tell you what we can do. I can annul the oath if in his whole life he ever once took an oath or promised to do something and he didn't do it. Then that's a little opening. I can annul the oath. But if not, not. So let me look. So God looks through his whole past, says, what can I do? He always kept his word. He never made an oath that he didn't keep. But he went to Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi and said, listen, do me a favor. The angel of death, he's got a job to do. I gave him a job and he can't do his job. His job is to kill people. Some people will understand in the raising of the dead why people had to die. But meanwhile, don't ask questions because I can't give you the answers. So he said, okay. So he gave him back the sword. Meanwhile, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, he's walking around there in heaven, and they show him his place. And his place is right next to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Shimon Bar Yochai. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, who are you to come here? You know, who was greater than Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? So finally it said, I have to look at the story again. Either Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, or there's a voice came out from heaven that said that can you meet up to the level of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, in his lifetime, there was no need for a rainbow. So God puts a rainbow in the sky to remind God, so to speak, that he promised after the flood of Noah that he wouldn't do it again. So the rainbow is a sign to remind God of this oath that he took. So even if the world is really bad, right? So, but nevertheless, there's this rainbow there, but when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was alive, you didn't need the rainbow because his merit was enough that it never came up on God's mind to destroy the world that he would need a remindance. So it said, if Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, if he was the same level, right? Were you the same level that there was no rainbow? And Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, no, I wasn't. The Gemara says that it was not so. That in fact he was at the same level and there was no rainbow, but he just didn't want to shame Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Okay, that's what the story is. Okay, let's see what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi has to say. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, every day, call Yom V'Yom, every day, a bat call, a heavenly voice goes out from Mount Sinai. Mar Chorev. What's Har Chorev? Mount Sinai. That's where the Torah was given. Machrezet, and this voice comes out and it says, Oilem lebrios me'albono shel Torah. Woe is it to them, namely human beings, humanity, the creations, the creatures, from the shame of the Torah. Shehoel, that says she'ein lo'oskim bo, the people don't work hard at the Torah. Gadol albono. It is embarrassing and shaming the Torah. Al-kach, therefore, oilem lebrios, therefore, woe is it to the creations. Right? It doesn't show how bad the Torah is. It shows how foolish the creations are. Woe to them. Being in Bat Kol, regarding this thing of this heavenly voice, there's a lot of different explanations. What exactly is this heavenly voice that goes out? It appears a lot of times in the Gemara. Tosfos Yom Tov says that this heavenly voice is what? A voice that is used to announce, that God uses to announce things after prophecy stopped. In other words, after let's say the first, 50-something years of the second temple, when Chagai and Zechariah and Malachi, after they passed away, so officially there wasn't any more prophecy. I mean, actually there was prophecy, but there was no prophecy that was written down anymore. So therefore, after the prophecy ended, period of prophecy, so who called Mechodesh? This is a new voice from God to let secrets be known to people. That's one meaning. After prophecy, official prophecy stopped, so God uses another telephone company, which is called Bat Call. And this is how he lets known his decrees. But Baal Midrash Shmuel, the one who writes Midrash Shmuel. Midrash Shmuel is an explanation on Pirkei Avos. He writes on the Mishnah Seinu, Roy Lahave is fitting to understand Shekev in the sense Shabbat call, that this what's called bat call. Usually a bat call usually means like an echo, but it's called an echo because it doesn't seem to have any source. Have you ever heard an echo in your life? An echo? It's very strange. In the mountains you can hear it, but here in Kfar Chabad also, maybe not anymore, because there used to be these open fields, and there was sometimes a big open field, and then there would be a big building right near my house. There was the Yeshiva, and it was a straight wall, 3 stories up, one big straight wall. It must be like, 30, 40 feet wide. And you would yell out, hello, and you would hear a voice back, hello. Okay, the voice that was coming back, you could look all you wanted to, you couldn't figure out where it was coming from. It's just bouncing off generally off this wall. The wall was, so that's a bat call is usually, it can be translated like an echo. Even though, of course, that's not, it was coming out, a voice coming from heaven, but you couldn't see where it was coming from. This comes, Lahatros, to warn people that they should work and learn Torah always. The voice is coming out from a general place and saying, learn Torah, learn Torah. Haya Ra'ui, it was fitting that everyone should have heard it. Therefore, it's possible to say that it's like this. If it was really like an echo, so it shouldn't be any sort of a miraculous thing. So we have to say that this is like sort of like an example, because the Torah was given on Mount Sinai. And on Mount Sinai, it says that all the Jewish people gave an oath that they would learn Torah day and night. Day and night. If so, when the Jewish people don't learn Torah, so a person has to consider as though Mount Sinai is still announcing and, what do you say, complaining. Oilem lebriot me'albana shel Torah. Mount Sinai is complaining. What are you doing? I accepted the Torah. I'm just a mountain. And you Jewish people, the Torah was given to you. It was given from Hashem. For sure you should accept the Torah. You have got a lot to be thankful for. One thing you have to be thankful for is you're not a mountain. A person, when he's buried, is like a part of the ground. Anyone who doesn't work in Torah is called a reject. Sheroyahu lenazifa, that he was fitting to receive a rejection because of his disgusting acts. Right? Okay, I want to ask for a 2-minute break here. I just want to go to the bathroom, and I'll be right back.